Welcome to the Blue Ridge Electric Vehicle Club's 2020 virtual version of Drive Electric Earth Day. My name is Dave Erb, and my wife and I no longer have gasoline cars as of a year ago. We take all of our driving in electric cars, the long trips in a Tesla Model 3. But I'm going to show you our other car today. It's a Chevrolet, but it's not a Volt or a Bolt. It's a Spark EV, which is kind of an odd duck. They only made about 7,500 of them. They only sold them in the states that use California emissions law. The closest one to North Carolina is Maryland. This particular car spent 3 years on a lease in California before we bought it over the internet about a year ago. There are actually a lot of Sparks out there, but most of them are gasoline powered. In fact, my wife and I had a silver Spark of the same year as this one, gasoline powered, until a year ago when we bought this car. There are a couple ways to spot the difference. One is that logo on the back, that badge that shows that it's an EV. The main way, the most noticeable way, is the fact that on the EV, the grill is filled in with these plastic inserts. An electric car doesn't need as much cooling as a gasoline car, so you can get a little bit better aerodynamics by closing off the radiator space, the space that would have been a radiator in a gasoline car. Another way to spot that it's an electric is the fact that there's a charge port right beside the driver's door. This particular car has a J1772 port, but some of them are available with both that and a CCS, DC fast charge port. We don't use that, we don't need it. We do all of our charging pretty much off the level 1 120 volt opportunity charger. We don't even carry it in the car, we just hang it on the wall of the garage, and that's plenty for doing our charging. It's a fairly simple car. There aren't a whole lot of bells and whistles, but it does have the things you would expect from a normal car. It's got a transponder key, a keyless entry, so you just come in, you put your foot on the brake, you press the power button, and the instrument panel lights up. And you can see here, it's a little hard to see because of the glare, but you can see right there is a power meter. It tells you when you're accelerating how much power you're using, and when you're regenerating on braking, how much power is going back into the battery. It's got a battery icon over on this side that shows you graphically what your state of charge is. It's also got a range estimate. It says 30 miles now, but it shows a range of ranges. If you drove really efficiently, you get 35 miles instead of 30. If you have a really heavy foot, you might only get 23 miles out of this particular level of charge. We set the trip meter when we bought the car about a year ago, and so it shows the range, the amount of distance we've driven since, about 4,500 miles. Over that entire time, we've averaged 5.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and that, for comparison's sake, that's in energy terms equivalent to getting 172 miles per gallon on gasoline. The infotainment system's on a touchscreen. The climate controls are on standard knobs and buttons. You can bring along your entire CD collection on a flash drive. The shifter is pretty normal. It looks kind of like an automatic transmission shift lever would have. The only real difference in the main controls between this and the gasoline Spark is that the parking brake is electronic instead of a hand lever. We chose this car because it's small. We live in Asheville, North Carolina. Streets here are really narrow, the parking's pretty tight, and there were a couple of options for cars that would work well as city cars here. One of them was the Smart electric vehicle. That only has 2 seats though, so we ruled it out. One of them is the Fiat 500e, the electric version of the little Cinquecento. That only has 2 doors, so we ruled that out. But we have this car with 4 doors and 4 seats, and it's surprisingly roomy. You'd be really amazed how big it is. I'm about little under 6 feet tall. I weigh a little more than I'd like to, but I can sit. If I adjust the driver's seat for me, I fit fine, but I also fit fine in the seat behind the driver's seat without any change of the adjustment. So plenty of room. You can fold the seats down. It's very clever the way they fold down. You can get quite a large cargo space out of it if you fold the seats down. There's a really nice space in the hatchback. Very useful space. It'll hold about 2 small suitcases or 1 large suitcase back in the hatchback. But of course, you're not going to take a lot of road trips with a car that only has 82 miles electric range. So I use that space to carry around my box of goodies. I have always with me, I have a copy of Driving to Net Zero. I have a lot of copies of Driving to Net Zero. This is our book. David Hrivnak pulled this book together. He's another member of the Blue Ridge EV Club. He lives in Kingsport, Tennessee. But Driving to Net Zero has 15 chapters. Each one's a first-person account of a family that has combined electric vehicles and their solar houses. So we're driving on sunshine. I wrote chapter 1 of the book. I also carry the Blue Ridge EV Club brochure with me everywhere I go. Run into people at the chargers and other places who are curious about electric vehicles. It's nice to have something to hand them that can send them for more information. And then I carry Plug-in America's Electric Vehicle Guide, also multiple copies of that. People like that because it shows all the available electric vehicles and the prices and their range, and a lot of good information in that. I mentioned that the car wasn't sold new in North Carolina, but they're sold used now, and it's not an orphan. If a Chevy dealer can sell you a Bolt, they also can do service work on a Spark EV, and most importantly, they can bill the factory for warranty work on the Spark EV. So it's not an orphaned car, even though it wasn't sold here new. I found this on the internet. It's available at a very reasonable price from a lot of different dealers out there. It's very efficient, and it's just a little different. It's kind of a nice thing if you don't want to be doing what everybody else is doing. Hope this video was useful, and I really look forward to next September when hopefully we're going to get to do National Drive Electric Week the normal way, face-to-face with test drives and other good real interaction instead of virtual interaction. Happy Earth Day. Bye.